So this is Jan Syme, who's managing the nets for us, and I've asked Jan if he can just give us a bit of history and just tell us how he does it and what he's doing here today. So Jan, over to you.
Thank you. Being the contest director, or let's call it the overall contest director, let me start that. Being the overall contest director means that I oversee the sub-contest directors who are supposed to be concentrating on the different classes. Because the NATS is a multi-class event. So once a year, everybody in the country can get together and measure their prowess against one another. They can also get tips and get advice from the more seasoned pilots. So I facilitate all these different groups. I set up the score sheets, I set up the timing equipment. I can even bring aeroplanes down to display. So that is my role. The nationals have been going for a long time. South Africa has a very rich radio-controlled gliding history. The first World Championship for F3B, it's a specific class plane, was held in 1977 outside of Pretoria, and that was the first World Championship for that class. It was won by an American called Skip Miller, flying in Aquila, very, very good aeroplane, but they had a superb team. Dan Pruss was the manager, Dave Thornburg, absolute legendary designer, was towman, and Skip was one of the pilots. We were fortunate, no, we were not, we were good. Freddie Roos, South African, he was second, and the South African team actually won the team prize. You have 3 pilots in the team, and each pilot's score gets added to the team score. So we won the World Championship team prize, even though Skip became the individual winner. But since 1977, we've been flying competitive here in South Africa and also internationally. This year we've got F3K, which is a discus launch glider team, going to Germany. 4 seniors and 4 juniors. The 4th junior and senior is a lady, because they have a specific place in the team. So you've got 3 men, and then you have the best lady in the country. So they're going, and very, very unusually, there is a family. Craig Goodrum, his wife Michelle, they're both in the senior team, and their daughter Nicole is in the junior team. So 3 people from the same family going to the World Championships. Okay, we've...
So, Jan, if I had to ask you, so for somebody who is maybe becoming an intermediate flyer, and what criteria do they need to have in order to just enter into a NATS competition? Can anybody enter, or is there certain criteria?
Effectively, anybody can enter, as long as they have a solo proficiency.
Okay.
But it would be good if you have at least a bronze eagle or a silver eagle, and then you can be confident that you will be more competitive. So that is the competency that you need.
Right. Okay. And obviously, the selection for the team that's going to represent South Africa is a whole different ballgame. That's based on how well you do in the various NATS and competitions. Is that right?
Yes. This year is not a selection year.
Okay.
Last year was a selection year, and the NATS had a very big F3K entrant,
Okay.
the discus launch gliders, because the guys were all vying to get onto the World Championship team. But the NATS would only be one of 4 events
Right.
that is used for team selection.
Okay.
They generally spread around the country, although 90% is in Gauteng, but they are different clubs, so that there's no home field advantage or home field advantage for the pilot. But you have to do well in all 4 of those selection events, and then you can get invited to either join the team directly, or you can go to a team selection, a final team selection competition, where the best pilots are judged and according to their times, and they then get sent to the World Championship. Doesn't mean you get paid for it, you pay for it yourself.
Okay. And does SAMAA have any role in subsidizing any parts of the costs or not?
SAMAA has a budget. Like for that year, the budget is about 6,000 rand.
Okay.
And that is used to offset some costs.
Right.
SAMAA also has, if you go to the World Championship, you get a 20,000 rand budget from them.
In total for the whole team?
In total, unfortunately. Okay. To give you an idea, the last championship that I went to, where I was manager, it cost per entry, per pilot. We were only 3 pilots. The FAA changed the rules and they allowed the ladies in to have a special entry. Nice, great, wonderful. But the cost is about 32,000 rand per pilot, without buying your aeroplanes.
Yeah.
That's purely just your traveling costs.
Okay.
So it's not a inexpensive sport, and but it's great. It's wonderful to represent your country. We were unfortunate that at the World Championships in 2016, we missed out on a winning spot for the team spot by 4 points.
Wow.
So it was a great event, and it was great to fly with those kinds of flyers. Tsepo was a wonderful flyer. He's now gone on with his life, so he's not flying anymore, but it's a pity. He's a very, very good flyer. Alan is a legend in South Africa, and we were fortunate that my son Ian was the third part of it.
Okay.
And it's not him that lost the 4 points.
If you're selected to represent South Africa, can you call yourself a Springbok then, or
it's a Protea?
A Protea.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get colours,
okay.
but they don't accept the Springbok anymore, except for rugby.
Oh, okay.
Any other sport, you become a Protea.
Okay. And is there some sort of official ceremony, because now you're a Protea that's representing the country, that you go through?
Yes, when you get back.
When you get back, okay.
When you get back, you go and buy your jacket, tie, and everything that you need. And at the end of the year, the Aero Club of South Africa has an awards event,
okay.
Generally an evening dinner and stuff like that, where you officially get presented with your colours.
Okay.
So it's great to have.
Yeah. Okay. And Jan, can you tell us a little bit about what the gliders we have on display here? They're very interesting selection.
The planes we have on display range from the baby Dart, which is the small one, which is a mini DLG, discus launch glider. Then I don't know all the other names of the flat field gliders because they're actually kings. But this is a built-up. I think it's something like it's an introduction. This is an introduction, which is very pretty to look at. It's a slow flying plane, and as you can see, it's basically just the ribs and then the covering, which is why it's so pretty. You can see it very, very nicely. But very simple aeroplane. It's got rudder elevator and flaps to make it slow down for landing. And then it's got an electric assist motor built in, which is battery powered, so it's nice and quiet. Then there's a slope soarer, which I don't know the name of, but it's very strong and it's very quick. Ken has used it at the Two Ocean slope soaring event as a speed machine, so that's very good. The slide again is a very simple.
The ins and outs of this nice red glider, John.
Yes. The slide is a what we call a RES, rudder elevator servo, or sorry, rudder elevator spoiler. That's the spoiler there. So it's very simple again and very light. Then this is a divine wind, which again is a slope soaring machine, and also quite quick. Then we get to some scale machines. This one is nameless because nobody can identify it for me.
Okay.
But it looks sort of like an ASW or an ASK.
Okay.
It's a 3-meter wingspan. So for the scale gliders, it's a fairly small one. Then we come to the Big Mama, which is a just under 6-meter wingspan. And these planes are pulled up into the sky by a power plane. If you look at the power plane down there, that's what we call a tow plane. And then that plane tows these up into the sky. And you have a link that goes in there. It's got a long rope, about 10, 15 meters, if I remember correctly. And it's all locked together. And when you achieve your height that you want, by remote control, you release the link out of the nose of the glider. So then you purely thermal flying, looking for lift, and just enjoying these big airplanes in the sky.
Fantastic.
W20, which is a scale glider of a real glider, and is mounted on a dolly at the moment to allow you to easily take off
Okay.
with aerotow. And even some of these gliders are fitted with a motor inside. I've never done that, but they have what we call a SLS, a self-launch system. So yeah, that's the aeroplanes.
Great. Thanks, Jan.